Hey, Sutrick, this is Ryan with TrendLizard.com. Thanks for sending that email with the other two tickers you would like analyzed this month. They are Bajaj Finserv and Tata Steel. We'll take a look at both of them in this video, starting with Bajaj. Here is a look at Bajaj on StockCharts.com. Again, it was incepted back in 2008. Had a large pullback right at the beginning there, and then embarked on a very large, nice five-wave advance into the 2020 high, at which point it pulled back. Now, in the scale of this chart right here, this pullback doesn't look terribly impressive just because it's been in such a nice uptrend since 2008. But if we look at this on a linear scale, you can see just how big the extent of this decline is, which is why we believe that this five-wave advance did complete and something larger to the downside has begun since then. So the big question is, has this pullback in 2020 corrected this entire five-wave advance to allow it to resume the overall uptrend off the 2020 low, or is it still in a larger pullback off of that major high that was recorded in 2020? So let's dive into the chart a little bit closer and see what we can find out from there. So here is a look at that decline in 2020, and my initial impression when looking at this move is that it is a five-wave decline. Now, if we zoom back here, we can see the bottom of this yellow support area is actually a 61.8% retracement of this entire advance, which again doesn't look like the case just because it's not that impressive on this long-term chart, but that's what it is. It's a 61.8% retracement of this entire advance. So one thought could be, and maybe a reason why you might be interested in it, is because it pulled back, found support there, and bounced. However, when we look at it, what we see is what very potentially could be a five-wave decline. And if it is a five-wave decline, it means that pullback is not done. So that is the context that I'm working with on Bajaj here. Now, the advance off of May's low is a very nice five-wave advance. No reason to be sad about that. That's a good sign as far as the short and midterm, or more likely the midterm outlook goes. It appears as if this initial up leg off of May's low is wave A, and that it is currently in a B-wave pullback. Should find support for the B-wave pullback somewhere in this yellow area, which goes from essentially 5,000 up to about 5,600, at which point you should get another nice C-wave up. So in that respect, it's a decent trade as far as the midterm time frame is concerned once this counter trend pullback completes. Again, a B-wave pullback down and then another five-wave advance to give you that C-wave up. On any larger time frame, I just don't see the potential based on this five-wave decline and the fact that that tells us that the trend is still down off of that 2020 high. So let's zoom in a little bit further here. This gives you an idea of where that C-wave might end. It can head all the way up towards the 7,700 area before it completes, which again would be a great midterm trade. I just don't see the potential any larger than that based on what we're seeing with this five-wave decline in 2020. So keep that in mind. Looks like a little bit larger pullback coming off July's high, at which point you should get a nice C-wave up. But I think that's it. Just a counter trend recovery move, at which point it should turn back down, revisit the 2020 lows, potentially move a little bit below there. So I wouldn't hold this as a long-term position as far as I'm concerned. So let's go ahead and look at Tata Steel now. Here's the other one. Now, this was incepted back at the start of 2005. It's been in a very large, choppy, sideways move for decades. I mean, it's just been moving sideways overall. This isn't the type of stock that generally interests me just because there's nothing really trendy on an overall basis. And the main reason for that is if you look at that advance off the 2008 low, what you have is a very clear A up, B down, and C wave up. Now, that's a three-wave move. We know what three-wave moves are all about. They're counter-trend moves. They're not the start of new, trendy, sustainable moves. So that's a concern for me. This doesn't look like something that has a ton of long-term potential, at least not until it completes a larger pullback. The implication of this labeling right here is that it would revisit the 2008 low at some point. Whatever the case may be, we're trying to find stocks that are in trends, maybe just correcting from a strong trendy move. This one does not fit that bill because basically if you draw a line across it, you see it just constantly hits that line, which is the sign of a counter trend move. So let's zoom in and look at this decline off the 2018 high. It's not the prettiest thing, but I can label it as a five-wave move. Again, it's not super clear, but you can see here, first wave down, a kind of random wandering second wave, third wave down, fourth wave up, and then a fifth wave down into that 2020 low. It's been in a recovery effort since then, and that is likely to continue, which again could make it a decent midterm trade, but on any larger time frame, it's just not something that I would be super interested in holding. Let's go ahead and zoom in and look at this recovery off the 2020 low to show you the potential of it continuing to grow. That little recovery in 2020, not little, but relatively speaking, on a smaller time frame, does look like a 5-wave move. Again, this looks like an A wave up, probably getting closer to a high, at which point we would be looking for a B wave down. And if it moves below 330 at any point in time, that's confirmation that this up leg completed and that you are getting that B wave down. From there, we'd look for support from 300 to 330 before it turns back up and gives you that C wave up, similar to Bajaj, where you might get that nice midterm play where you can get an advance higher, and then you look for a move into this yellow support area for that C wave advance. So basically 430 to 550, somewhere in that area for the C wave advance that would be expected at that point before it turns back down and kind of continues its never-ending sideways move. So it does look like a decent midterm trade, but if you don't own it yet, I would probably wait for that B wave pullback and then look to buy that C wave up with the intention of exiting once that C wave moves into the yellow support area. So I hope that's helpful. Have a wonderful day. Again, this is Ryan from TrendLizard.com, and we do this stuff every day, so come visit us at TrendLizard.com if you haven't already. Take care.